Hi, it's Coach MK. We've had a snow day, so if you hear screaming in the background, it's my children. We had to get a babysitter to help out this evening because I think we'd had enough time around each other for most of the day, and they're going to get clean. I was so excited to see a question like, I'm going to go hide and do a Facebook Live. So thank you, Colleen, for giving me the opportunity to hide. So before I answer your question, and I apologize for not getting your permission before going live, but you did post this publicly on my public Facebook page. So, and I wanted to give you the answer that you deserve. And you deserve a thoughtful answer that, frankly, if I wrote it out, you'd never have the time to read it because you'd end up with War and Peace. And, I mean, most people read the Cliff Notes of that in the first place. So, here we go. First of all, thank you very much for having the courage to post that so publicly along with the picture. Before I go any further, let me first say I'm a run coach. I'm not a life coach. I'm not a therapist, but I've been in therapy for 20 years, and I love that stuff. Can't recommend it highly enough. So I'm not going to do what very well-meaning people do all the time, which is respond to a concern that we feel and then reduce you even further by invalidating that emotion and reducing you not just to the sum of your looks, but to the sum of my perception of your looks, which is just one of, no one ever intends to be a real SOB when they do it, but it is really, truly cruel. Like, well, I think you're pretty. Like, that's not, I don't care what you think. That's not the point. So I'm not going to go there. I'm going to try my best to do what my therapist has been doing with me for the past 20 years as someone whose body hasn't been a safe place for a long time. So, and that that can mean so many things to so many people on so many different levels. But I'm going to take this apart piece by piece. So, I'm going to read the question out loud for the people that don't read, because I know it's complicated. I'm struggling and crying over this. I'm doing the Princess Fairy Tale Challenge in a few weeks. I'm a slow, steady runner, but this isn't about my running. It never is, girl. That's why I have a job. I thought I would step outside my comfort zone and make a princess costume. I'm normally a full cover-up kind of girl. I made my own Snow White gear except for the top. I dreamed of being a cute Snow White, but all I see is frumpy and flabby. I ran out today looking for a better, more conservative outfit. I struggle with my self-image every day. What can I do, and how can we raise our girls to be happy and proud of the skin they are in? Last year, I did the Corning Marathon and almost backed out at the package pickup. All the runners around me looked like sleek gazelles. I had a moment where I felt like I didn't belong. So, first I want to say that you're an amazing parent. I don't need to know anything of anything more about, like, you can argue with me and tell me, like, give me a laundry list of all the things that you're doing that you think you might be doing wrong. But the fact that you're thinking in this manner, that you're brave enough to be public with it, that tells me that you're a badass and that your kids are lucky to have you. So well done there. The sort of person that is going to have a harder time, whose kids are going to struggle a little bit more, are the ones whose parents pretend that they have all the answers, that don't meet their kids where they're at and don't talk through their feelings like that, like you're doing with me right now. So, because that's really point number one. You don't have to have all the answers. And that is such a freeing thing. I know, like, the first time I said to a client, like, who was really, really worried about their race. And I was like, well, let's start here. Congratulations, you're not going to win. Whew, pressure's off. Boy, I thought they were going to hit me. They were so mad. They were like, well, that's really mean. I'm like, oh, sorry. Did you think you were going to win this marathon? Like, is that really why we're here? Like, how did you find Lifetime Run? So, we coach winners, but not literal winners of marathons, generally speaking. That's not where they go. So, I say that because sometimes when you take that pressure off, it should be relief. Most of us walk a tightrope. There's one correct answer. And if I deviate from that correct answer in some way, I fall off the tightrope. And the consequences are disastrous. But truth be told, very little in life is that way. Outside of, life on a nuclear reactor in a submarine at the bottom of the ocean. But that is my cross to bear because I live with it. And someone that follows direct instructions if they say that the preferred temperature for a baby to sleep in is 65, God bless everybody else in this house, because we're going to do whatever it takes to keep that room at 65, because the baby might explode like the nuclear reactor. Oh my God. So I say that because it is funny to watch my husband, who cares so much, try to get that room down to where that poor freezing baby, I just given up even having these conversations with him, where that poor freezing baby sleeps. But most of life isn't like that. I've yet to convince him that he's no longer on a nuclear submarine, and that half a degree this way is not certain death. But I'm not there yet, and don't expect to get wherever it is you think you want to be tonight or in one conversation. It's a process, and it is okay to not be okay. And there's never been a better time for it, where we can actually have real conversations, which means for the first time ever, we can truly support each other. Because up until now, like, nobody wanted to hear anything that was unpleasant, weird, or made them slightly uncomfortable. So congratulations on already breaking all those barriers by being uncomfortable publicly. You're doing a great job. Number 2, you don't have to show people how to do things. You don't have to model this behavior all the time. It's not, because that's what I mean when I say it's not about having all the answers. What you need to do is show your kids how to live with the questions and how to find the answers. I know it's maddening for most of my clients, and it's maddening for a lot of my friends too, but when you spend a lot of time in therapy, it's very didactic. They ask a question, you answer, they ask another question, or every question that I ask is answered with a question. But that's how you learn. That is truly how I learn in therapy. That is how I do the deeper introspection, and that's what I challenge you guys to do at the same time. I'm not going to give you the answers because it's not on me to have them, but it is on me as a leader in the community that you selected into, yay you, to give you frameworks to find answers to those questions at every turn, okay? And those answers are going to be in here, and I don't know when we're going to get to them, but here's the framework. You talk about your feelings. If ever there's a moment, and I guarantee if you were having this reaction looking in the mirror, they heard the sniffling. Any reaction that you had when you came out of the bedroom to that skirt, which, by the way, you made that? Whoa! I was in 4-H. My mom tried real hard to teach me how to sew, and like all I can do is make a biscuit. I still can't, and public speaking, I was real good at that. But sewing, I can never master. So that is amazing. Congratulations. That material does not look like it would go through the machine very easily. So give yourself some credit there, girl. That's amazing. When you talk about your feelings and you say it, that's how you signal that it's okay to not be okay. There are no positive or negative emotions, and we're so quick to shut down bad emotions or negative emotions. It's called toxic positivity, where you're not allowed to be anything other than positive all the time, even if you don't mean it. And it's cruel. It's well, I think you're beautiful, with no substance behind it. The coffee mug platitudes that don't actually help anyone. And if you try to put that on your kids, you're helping them almost as much as I would be helping you right now. If I was like, well, I want the world to know that I think you're pretty. Because again, that's reductive. I've invalidated your statement, and I've reduced you not to the sum of your looks, but to the sum of my perception of your looks. Okay? There are no easy answers to any of this, but it starts with accepting that there are no positive or negative emotions. What do you really want your daughters to be able to do is live with these moments, these negative emotions, because when you don't address them and you don't face them, that's when it festers and it stews. You want to give them a tool, like the one I'm about to give you, to deal in these moments. You don't have to be okay all the time. I spent 20 years in a body that felt like it had betrayed me, that felt like a dangerous place to be, that after my assault, I was never really the same. And I'm not going to tell you, like, this is how to get better, because it took a really long time. But I can say this, especially after the last year in bed, where I couldn't do any of the things that made me confident or made me feel like me. You have to focus on what you can do. And it's hard. It's not about ignoring or deflecting. It's about looking in the mirror and saying, this does not match the vision that I had when I started to make this costume. It is what it is. And it's okay not to be okay with that. It's okay to be disappointed. It's okay for those visions not to reconcile. The next thing you do is you focus on that skirt. That amazing skirt, that took skill to make. You did that. I want you to focus on those ankles, because as a coach, the first thing that I noticed when I looked at that photo of you, what I'm looking at right now, is that your ankles aren't dumping. That's a big deal. One of the things that I talk about with my clients that I don't like getting into, with my previous role, I didn't get into all the foot dynamics. But it's something I talk about on my Twitch channel and in my YouTube videos when I'm demonstrating the strength moves. You want to make sure you pull your big toe off the ground, because otherwise your knees buckle and your ankles dump and your feet flatten. And it's not the flat feet that's the problem, it's the alignment all the way up the top. So you, my dear, are hella strong, because I'm looking at you standing barefoot on a carpet that looks kind of soft, and your ankles aren't dumping. That is due to strength. I then look up a little bit further and I see the calves. The calves that have clearly been doing some work. Those calves are going to carry you for up to 3 hours. Now, granted, that's not a prediction of your finish time. I have no idea what your finish time is going to be, and I have not been monitoring your training. But those calves are strong enough to do one thing continuously for 3 hours. Focus on that. Focus on the ankles that are strong enough to work with your calves from the start all the way to the finish line. Focus on the brain and the hands that made that beautiful skirt. Focus on the knees that, again, don't buckle, and they're not going to be overstrained, because you've clearly been doing the work. Your glutes are strong enough. Your quads are strong enough. Your calves balance it out. There is no part in the kinetic chain that will be overcompensating, because you've done the work. And I want you to focus on the whole athlete that came into this and did what she said she was going to do. Focus on what you can do, and what you can do is run a half marathon in the happiest place on earth. And you can waste a lot of time worrying about what you look like, or you can focus on what you can do, which is this event you have trained for. You're a badass. You are a badass. And until you believe it, I'm going to believe it enough for both of us and remind you. And it's okay that you look in the mirror and you don't see that yet. We don't reflect enough in society. So I'm going to tell you where to start. I'm going to tell you to look at some of the women that I look at and I make my daughters look at, because they're not going to know what strong looks like if I can't identify it and show it to them. And strong looks like Deanna Price, who, if you haven't heard, can take an 8-pound object and throw it so high in the air she could hit the Statue of Liberty in the face. It's about 85 meters. It's a long way. Number 2, you're going to go look at Latoya Shante Snell. Latoya Shante Snell, S-N-E-L-L. She calls herself the Fat Chef, and she is phenomenal. That woman is strong. She wakes up and says, hey, someone gave me an entry to the Chicago Marathon. Maybe it wasn't Chicago, but she just sort of she just shows up in YOLO's marathons. Now, she trains every day, don't get me wrong, and she puts all of her strength online, and she is just amazing at what her body can do. But she doesn't look like a gazelle, and she's proud of that. And maybe you won't be proud of yourself. Maybe it'll take a while, but the process of becoming proud of you is looking at what other badass women are doing. And I would start with Latoya Shante Snell. I would then move on to Mirna Valerio. She's amazing. She was in an REI commercial. I think that's how I was introduced to her for the first time. She too has a blog, and all she does is travel and run and do cool things and be herself. She gets paid to be herself. I mean, who gets to do that in this world? Amazing women. These are amazing women that don't look like gazelles, but do the same badass thing that you're about to do. I mean, I'm not comparing you to them, because I don't think anyone compares to them, quite frankly. But this is the conversation to have with your daughters. When you identify those moments, this is the process of self-awareness. This is what you do in therapy. And I would strongly recommend it if you haven't seen a therapist. I just don't think you can go wrong with therapy. In those moments when you go into a room and you feel less than, when you say, I'm not X, I'm not Y, I'm not, I shouldn't be here, That's okay. Identify it, remember it, and walk through those emotions. Why is it I've been doing this for 3 years? Why do I still only feel like gazelles have the right to run? I've been in races that are 55,000 strong. Those Disney races are huge. I've seen all kinds of body types. Do I question those people being there? If so, why? If not, why? There's no right or wrong to it. Just examine what you feel and your reactions to other people as well as your reactions to yourself. And that process of making sure that you're looking at these women, that these amazing role models that we admire, like Latoya, Shantae Snell, Deanna Price, and Myrna Valerio, and showing your daughters these women, showing your daughters the videos of these women doing badass, incredible things. There's a video of Myrna, and I'll reach out and ask her if I can find it and tag you in it. But she was doing jump squats. She was somewhere speaking, not at home, and she was in a stadium doing jump squats all the way up and all the way down those stadium stairs somewhere. And I remember the way I felt watching that video, because I was stuck in bed and I was nowhere. I was like, I cannot wait till I'm strong enough to do that too. So that is how you foster that in your daughters. You show them what strong looks like. You show them what strong can do. And you don't spend a lot of time on shame. Shaming is not productive. It is shaming to live in the should. I should look like that. I should do that. I should focus on anything you think you should do. Just give it up. You won't do. I should feel better about myself is on that list. Because rather than like shaming yourself for being what you are, accept what you are. Hold on to that. And then ask yourself, why do I feel this way? And that is the process of change that we as moms have to go through if we're going to teach our daughters how to navigate this world with or without us. It's not about having all the answers. It's about having frameworks to find them. It's about learning to live and be okay with the fact that we still have questions. It's about saying it's okay to not be okay, and what to do with an insecurity and how to not let it rule you. And that process is a lot harder and starts in therapy. And being honest about that too, and saying, I'm not there yet, but I don't want you to feel what I feel. I don't want you to face what I face. And actually having this conversation instead of sticking coffee mug platitudes on them, that's the step towards better. And that's something that you already started when you made this Facebook post. I am so proud and so honored to have been able to coach and love you for a little while. You're doing an amazing job. You're doing incredible things, and I cannot wait to watch those beautiful legs in that skirt crush it at Disney.